Hello, and welcome to today's special of ranking the episodes of Season 3 from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, before I dive into my episode rankings, I just want to quickly talk about my hero damsel knockout lists that I've been doing during Season 3. Obviously, throughout Season 1 and 2, quite a few suggestions came my way with regards to keeping tallies to how many times people get knocked out and how many times someone gets saved by a ridiculous situation. Now, if you didn't see those comments in those original videos, or didn't see my little specials where I went back through Season 1 and Season 2 to count the tallies of this list that you guys are now seeing, I kept score of every single time someone performed a heroic act of saving an individual, and it's both specifically a named individual. It can't be some random stranger that doesn't have a name in the show, it has to be a named character. Also, for every time a named character needs to be saved, also gets a point on the damsel meter. And of course, a point for every time a named character is knocked out. So, these are the lists completely tallied up throughout the whole of Season 1, 2 and 3. Now, to keep things short and simple, I will only be looking at the top 8 individuals of each of the lists. Let's kick off with the hero list. Compared to where we left off at the end of Season 2, Season 3 sees Buffy with a staggering 76 saves, compared to her 43 saves at the end of Season 2. And with Xander in a solid second place and Giles in a solid third place. And other than that, the only other changes on the hero list is Oz and Faith made a bit of a rise on this list. Moving on to the damsel list, Buffy's still in the lead, with an increase of 21 times she needed to be saved. But, unlike Season 2 where Xander was in a solid second place, we have Cordelia jumping in to second place. Given how rapidly Cordelia has jumped from third place to second place, I'm really curious to see if in Season 4 of Buffy, she jumps up to getting close to first place, or maybe even taking the first place title. I am really curious to see if someone's going to knock Buffy off her damsel list. And now the knockout list. From what someone suggested was keeping a tally of how many times Giles gets knocked out, I think people are overlooking the fact that Buffy gets knocked out a lot more compared to the rest, as barely anyone jumped up significantly with the knockout list, with only some of the people only getting an extra knockout this season. So maybe Giles doesn't get knocked out as much as you guys seem to think he did. Anyway, I'm very curious to see if maybe those were references to maybe Season 4 or a later upcoming season. All we can do is wait and find out if these lists start chopping and changing their ranking, as we have already seen with the damsel list that Cordelia's come and jumping up in second place in Season 3. What will Season 4 hold? And given that next season isn't just going to be Season 4 of Buffy, but also Season 1 of Angel, I'm really curious to see if Angel comes jumping up really high on these lists. Anyway, I digress. Let's get on to why you guys are here, and that is my ranking of Season 3 Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, coming in at 22nd, drop dead last place. I guess everyone probably saw this one coming, and that is the zombie mask episode where a mask raises the zombie undead just from hanging it on a wall. Talk about contradictions. How does the mask know that it's hanging on a wall in someone's room to laying inside a box, whether it's flat or upright? How does the mask know the difference between being hung on a wall or being in a box? Why is it not a fact that it's just drawing the dead and raising the dead in general? A bit of an overlook and something I've only just thought of. But this episode probably was the lowest and slowest burner of the entire Buffy franchise so far. It did have a lot of drama going on within this episode with regards to Buffy coming back after running away and all of her friends avoiding her then digging into her. But still, this is the lowest point of Season 3. And the best bit is, it only gets better from here, and it's Episode 2 within Season 3. Now, coming in at 21st place, we have Episode 13, where Xander becomes the centre of attention. Now, for most of you who've been watching my reactions so far, you know I am not a fan of Xander. So having a whole episode revolve around him was painfully frustrating. I hated it. I was more interested in what was going on in the other story going on in the background with Buffy and friends. I would have rather the episode be focused around any one of the other group other than Xander. Only saving grace with this episode was we get to see Faith completely use and discard Xander as a one-night stand and just literally kick him out of the motel room in his underwear. It was such a good moment of the episode, and probably the only redeemable thing about the episode is just seeing how Faith just used him for her own needs. Moving up to 20th place, we have episode 20, where we get some hell beasts that are trained to attack people in evening dress. where we have probably the only episode so far where the villains are so sidelined within this episode. The evil threat or villain, or whatever you want to call it in this episode, is so sidelined, they only make very brief appearance. This episode was more about all the story and drama that was going on, and don't get me wrong, that story and drama was good. I enjoyed it. Yes, I was heartbroken about the Angel Buffy breakup. Obviously, that kind of had to happen for Angel to go off and get his own show, which was probably the main plot driven reason to why it happens. Either way, I'm very curious to see what Angel's show looks like. One good thing about this episode is I think Xander has his first redeemable moment in the entire show. He shows us he has a heart, and after all the stick he gave Cordelia, he goes out of his way to finish paying off whatever she had to pay on her dress for prom, so she could go to prom in a gorgeous looking dress. Coming in at 19th place, we have episode 19. The gang goes on a little mission to capture this box to see what the mayor has cooking up. Willow gets herself captured, and bless her, she escapes, but just to get herself captured because she can't help herself but to look and read within books. She could have just grabbed the books and get the fuck out of there. And maybe they would have actually been able to stop the whole Ascension thing if Willow got out of there. Obviously, that wouldn't have made for a great grand finale. In this episode, I just finding that out that she's no longer got her daddy's money to buy her stuff and she's having to work her way to get the dress that she wants really did make my heart feel for her. Coming in at 18th place, we have episode 1, which was probably my favourite start to a season yet. And it was such a great episode. We have Buffy all on her own as she ran away from all of her problems and dramas from the end of season 2. She gets warped to this alternative dimension to try and save some people. Yes, she didn't save everyone that was captured and held up, but she was on a much needed timeout away from everything to deal with what happened at the end of season 2. And there's so much emotional impact in it. Coming in at 17th place, we have episode 18, where whilst fighting some demons with no mouth, Buffy gets blood on her skin from one of the demons that she killed to learn that she now has the power to read minds. Yes, she was quite scared and worried at the start that she might develop a different part of the demons, but given that she developed the demon's ability to read minds, she used it to the good until it was killing her. And then Angel came to her rescue and saved her. But before she got completely overwhelmed with too many thoughts from other people to handle, she did uncover the truth of what happened with Joyce and Giles when they were intoxicated with childlike candy. They slept together twice on the police car. One of the funniest moments ever, and then at the end of the episode, that hilarious comment she made to Giles, causing him to completely lose concentration and walk into a tree. I love that ending. Speaking of Giles and Joyce becoming teenagers, we have coming in at 16th place, episode 6, where the chocolate turns adults into teenagers/kids, depending on how much chocolate they had, I guess. We get to see a bratty Snyder and why he probably had no friends at school. We get to see a badass young Ripper Giles and a really rebellious Joyce. Really great episode. I loved a lot of the moments. Just to see how the whole dynamics had to change with Buffy, have to even step up and take on more responsibilities of not being the one that's looked after by her mum and not just having to save the day, also having to play the responsible adult because her parents and the adult figures are too childlike to cope. Coming in 15th place, we have episode 4, where Oz is out on the loose again, or so everyone was led to think. Instead, we have the case of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and a savage angel coming to the rescue at the end. In this episode, we see the dynamics of a bit of abusive nature from someone having serious Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation. Meanwhile, everyone thinking it was Oz just getting free as his werewolf self. Coming at 14th place, we have episode 3, where Faith joins the show. What an entrance she made. Really loved her vibe. Such a cool character, and I was heartbroken to see her turn to the bad side, and very curious to see if she's going to wake up from the coma, and are we going to get more Faith in the future. I really hope she wakes up from the coma and has some kind of change of heart or wanting to repent for all the problems she caused and folding back into the Scooby Gang at some point. I really don't want to see the evil Faith make a return. I'm really praying that she comes back on the good team. And then to end this episode off, we get Angel come back. What a lovely cliffhanger. Even though it wasn't much of a surprise as we knew he was coming back, I just didn't know what episode it'd be. And nice it was an early return to the season, so we get one more season of him and Buffy together before he goes off and does his angel show. Coming in at 13th place, we have episode 7, where Faith gets a new watcher. Or does she? Is it just someone pretending to be a watcher? Yes, it is. And she's the actual big villain of the episode, getting this big glove of copper was it? I can't remember. Cuffed her. Anyway, whilst Angel's there trying to destroy it, we have a big case of mistaken identity when Faith is all off on the hothead side of things and goes all off on Angel, allowing her new watcher to put the glove on and almost gets absolute power or whatever it was. Coming in at 12th place, we have episode 22, the season finale. Now, this wasn't the best season finale. I think season 2 holds the best season finale so far. I would say it's a very close call for second place with the season 1 finale. It's a bit hard to say which I'd put on top of the other. Both season finales were great. They had some good moments. Anya definitely had a few funny lines that I really appreciated. But other than that, this season finale was... I think this is like a first big jump they had into CGI, and it didn't work that well. I feel like they should have stuck with the makeup effects. It's just a shame they just didn't quite have the technology and computer and stuff that we have now for back then. As that big snake that the mayor ascended into, just like god awful. It really did. It's just, I felt like they should have stuck with the makeup effects as it just wasn't quite ready for CGI at the time. I feel like the CGI done it more of an injustice where they would have been better off doing like swapping the mayor out for some huge big bodybuilder with a lot of makeup effects. I would have felt like that would have done a better job than some big CGI snake that just ended up getting a bit pissed off with Buffy, chasing her through a building just to get blown up. Very anticlimactic. In fact, saying all that out loud makes me feel like this is probably the lowest season finale we've had out of the 3 so far. Now, coming at 11th place, we have episode 11, where we go basically Buffy version of Salem Witch Trials, where we have 2 little kids, which is basically a demon in disguise, convincing all the parents of Sunnydale to put all those people that might be considered witches on a stick to be burnt, including Slayers. It completely manipulates the whole town into thinking Buffy, Willow, and Amy, which was a pleasant surprise to have her return, all be put on to be burnt alive. Amy manages to escape it by turning herself into rat form. I hope Willow's able to undo that in the future, as I really do like Amy as a character. Definitely a really fun, different take it was. Having like these sort of like Hansel and Gretel hallucinations from this monster to convince the whole town to murder the witches and slayers. It probably did have another one of my favourite Cordelia moments where she advises Giles that one of these days he's going to wake up in a coma. I don't quite know how that will work, but it was brilliant and it was funny. And I think you could just see Joel's soul in Giles just slowly just fade away. But either way, it was a fun episode and it was amazing to see Amy back. Now that we're in the top 10, how's my list looking so far to how you guys would rank things? Please feel free to drop in the comments what you would rank as your favourite episodes in the season, or even give me your full episode ranking if you wish. Anyway, coming in at 10th place, we have episode 16, where after Anya had lost her necklace, which was the source of her powers, I guess, she was trying to get Willow to help her retrieve it. In attempting to do so, the spell fails, fucks up, backfires, whatever it did, the spell manages to bring back Vampire Willow from that alternative world that we saw in the previous episode. I think Vampire Willow did more good than she did harm. She completely put that jock in his place. I think that was just the best bit, is like how Vampire Willow completely beat Percy up, was his name? Sorry if I can't remember, or if I'm getting his name wrong, Percy. And just at the end of the episode when Percy's coming with all of his homework done, and oh my god, it was such a highlight seeing him act like that. And even in a later episode, I think it was the season finale, where he comes back and makes references to this episode on how Vampire Willow just put him in his place. And it was brilliant. That was one of my favourite moments in that episode. Coming in at 9th place, we have episode 12, where Giles drugs Buffy for some big watcher test, which really backfires as the vampire in question breaks loose, turns another person into a vampire, causes a bit of havoc, captures Buffy's mum, putting so many people's lives at risk. That was a very ill play on the Watcher's part. It did show off more of Sarah's amazing acting skills, if she's now having to play a very weak and vulnerable Buffy compared to the Buffy we all know and love. And she plays that role amazingly. Now, we did see at the end of it Giles getting fired from his job, which paved way for Wesley Wyndham-Pratt to make his appearance, but we'll get to him later. But all in all, it was a very dark episode, just seeing Buffy's vulnerable side, because that's all she had in her. Coming in at 8th place, we have episode 10, where Angel gets attacked by Caspia, the friendly first evil of evils. Anyway, this first evil ghosty figure tries to manipulate Angel into becoming evil again by having another happy moment with Buffy. Thankfully, he knows better, but it only drives him to the point of wanting just to meet his fateful end with the sunrise, with Buffy having to emotionally talk him out of it. Such an emotionally powerful episode this was, and the end of this episode had me in tears. Such a great episode. Coming at 7th place, we have episode 21, where Angel gets a poisonous arrow, where we get the big Slayer vs. Slayer fight to the death, or so we thought. At the end of this episode, I generally thought Buffy had killed Faith, as she literally looked dead as she got driven away on the back of that lorry. It was an amazingly good pre-finale episode. Nowhere near the pre-finale episode that season 2 had. And also within this episode, we also see Buffy quit the Watchers Council, making Wesley Wyndham-Pratt's role basically useless. He was getting on my nerves a little bit. Nowhere near as a Xander nerve level, but Wesley Wyndham-Pratt was a bit of a prat. Coming in at 6th place, we have episode 9, where Cordelia wishes that Buffy had never came to Sunnydale, which puts Cordelia in some alternative reality, which... what the hell's going on? We have the Master in control with Vampire Willow, Vampire Xander. They've definitely got some kinky thing going on, and they wanted to mass-produce blood by tying people up to machines to suck their blood out. Definitely a very dark, twisted fate, and damn, that wish just got her into her deathbed because she died before the episode was even over. Thankfully, Giles was on form and realised the cause of this alternative world and put a complete end to it by snapping us all back into the reality we all know. It was a very dark and twisted episode, and just to even see a very brutally dark Buffy. She was just so dark and just done with fun. Now we are in the top 5, and coming in at 5th place we have episode 5, where Buffy and Cordelia are in some prom queen race. And in the background we get this Slayer Fest 99, was it? Slayer Fest 99, was it? Forgive me if I got the number wrong, but Slayer Fest 99. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved the prom queen race we got with Cordelia and Buffy, but I can't help feeling that would have been another really great episode to have with Buffy and Faith teaming up as Slayers on the same team, the same fight, fighting off these big group of bad people. I wish we got that as well. Don't get me wrong, Cordelia had some really cool moments, even had one of the most best badass moments by scaring off that cowboy vampire. Wow, don't mess with her. Cordelia glue in that episode, and what a great episode for Cordelia that was. It's just a shame we didn't get more Faith in that episode. Coming out of 4th place, we have episode 14, The Bad Girls, where Faith literally gets Buffy off on her bad streak. She's really rubbing off onto Buffy in this episode. They're on fire. The first part of this episode was golden. I loved it. It was amazing, and unfortunately it had a bit of a rocky end, leading to Faith's accidental murder, which is devastating for Faith, and she goes in deep denial about it. And if I remember rightly, I get my hopes up hoping that this might be a crossover with Charmed. I used to love Charmed, and Charmed was one of the shows that actually drove me to this, as someone told me that if I loved Charmed, I'd also love this. So this Charmed is kind of what drove me to this show in the first place. So I thought we was going to get our first crossover with Balthazar. It's a completely different kind of Balthazar, and I don't think the shows are remotely related. It's a shame. Either way, Faith is completely bailed with the fact that she's just killed someone, leaving it up to Buffy and Angel to say Giles and Wesley Wyndham-Pratt have been captured. And this episode ends with Buffy confronting Faith about what happened, and Faith being in so much denial. Leads us right into our next episode. Speaking of which, in 3rd place is episode 15, where we deal with the aftermath of what happened with Faith's accidental murder, with Faith blaming Buffy, her falling further down the rabbit hole, everyone chasing her down, trying to force their version of what kind of help she needs to get, her going completely dark and strangling Xander, Angel capturing her and starting to get through to her until Wesley Wyndham-Pratt comes in and makes a prat of himself and fucks the whole thing up, and then to leave her turning to the mayor for some unknown reason that completely escapes me. I get that towards the end of the season she started seeing a kind of father figure in him, but I still don't understand why she went to him in the first place. That bit still escapes me. As I had already said, I do hope that when she wakes up from her coma, she does find her way back to the good guys, as I really preferred her as one of the good guys. It's not a case of like Angel going into Angelus, where they're almost two separate entities in a way. I think it's the anxiety side he induces into the audience, as you just don't know what Angelus is going to do next. And speaking of Angelus, it leads me to 2nd place, episode 17, where Angel puts on the Angelus act, after Faith and the mayor think they've put some voodoo on Angel to turn him back to Angelus. Angel, being the amazing actor he is, puts on a big double act and pretends to be Angelus. So we get kind of a bit of a tease of Angelus again, just so Faith can reveal some of the big master plan. And wow, what an amazing thing it is. I just love seeing Angel put on the whole Angelus persona. I love Angelus a lot as a villain. My emotions were all over the place seeing him back on the screen because I was worried about what he's going to do to the Scoobies. At the same time, I was loving the fear and unpredictability of Angelus as a villain himself. I was thinking, what the hell else can go wrong for the Scooby Gang whilst he was back on screen? And just to have it as a big double bluff was brilliant. Will we get to see that again? I don't know. I hope so. But we can only hope. Now, coming in at first place. Have you guys guessed it yet? Because it's episode 8 with Spikey returning with all of his depressive self about losing Drusilla. This episode was a blast. Seeing him return was a highlight. Don't get me wrong, I thought he was quite an interesting villain in season 2. Nowhere near as big or bad as Angelus was, but I had no idea seeing him come back would bring me that much excitement as it did in that episode. And I can only hope he returns soonish. I do know someone mentioned he's a bit of a pivotal character within the Buffy Angel universe. And I also recall someone else also mentioning in one of the comments somewhere that Angel and Spike are sort of considered family. So does that mean we're going to get Spike in the Angel TV show? So was that kind of a hint that we're going to get to see Spike in Angel? I really hope so. I just love seeing Spike bounce off of both Angel and Buffy. But there was just so many moments I loved in this, and I could waffle on so much about this episode, so I'll keep it short, and I will just mention one of my favourite moments was when he was moping over the bench, where him and Drew killed a homeless person. Oh, so many funny moments, and I will just chat with you guys in the comments, as I don't want this video to be too long. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my ranking of Buffy Season 3. Please share your thoughts of what you thought of my ranking, as well as what you would rank, or please suggest what your top 3 episodes were, or your favourite episodes. I'm curious to see. And with regards to how I'll be going forward, it is Joss Weldon. I can't remember if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but I found his list for what order to watch the shows, as from what I understand, as the intro to his list stated that it was hard to keep track of what order to watch them in because the shows were filmed on different networks or something. So the list is to help people watch it in more of a chronicle order, as the shows did not air remotely at the same times. As I will be following his list in which order to watch it in. From my brief recollection of what I saw, it will start off being with Buffy next week, and alternate between Buffy and Angel for the most part until I think it was episode 7, where we get our first double episode. And I will follow that list through in that order, just so I don't have to worry about going wrong. As for the Damsel Hero knockout list, they will overlap each episode as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next week when I see you for episode 1 of season 4 Buffy the Vampire Slayer, until then, bye!